So, what just happened in Hollywood? Johnny Depp and Penelope Cruz have done something no one saw coming, and it feels like the entire entertainment industry just jolted awake. This isn't the usual tabloid rumor, not another recycled headline, or tired sequel announcement. This is something real, something bold, and it has people everywhere talking. Fans are shocked, insiders are whispering, and Hollywood itself feels like it's bracing for an earthquake. Because when two legends, like Depp and Cruz, decide to shake things up, the ripples reach everywhere. Think about how long people have followed Johnny Depp's journey. For decades, he's been one of the most fascinating figures in film. He's the rebel, the outsider, the guy who somehow became one of the biggest stars on the planet while still playing the strangest, most daring roles. From Edward Scissorhands to Captain Jack Sparrow, from indie cult favorites to billion-dollar franchises, Depp has always walked a line between art and fame. And then, of course, the storms came. The lawsuits, the accusations, the trial watched around the world. His career, once untouchable, seemed like it might crumble for good. Studios pulled back. Projects vanished. Hollywood turned its back. For a while, it looked like he might never return. And then there's Penelope Cruz. Her story is different. She's the definition of steady. She started in Spanish cinema, became an international star, and kept climbing. She won an Oscar, worked. With legends like Pedro Almodovar and Woody Allen, balanced Hollywood blockbusters with intimate European dramas, and built a reputation as one of the most versatile actresses alive. Unlike Depp, she never fell off the map. She avoided scandal, stayed grounded, and kept working at the highest level. She's respected, admired, and beloved, both in Spain and around the world. Now, when you bring these two together, something sparks. We've seen it before. Back in 2001, when they starred in Blow, their chemistry was impossible to ignore. Depp played George Jung, the ambitious but doomed drug smuggler, and Cruz was Mirtha, his fiery and unpredictable partner. Their scenes crackled with tension, love, chaos, and danger. It wasn't the kind of chemistry you can fake. It felt raw and alive, and audiences noticed. That film cemented them as a duo that worked. Then in 2011, they reunited in Pirates of the Caribbean, on Stranger Tides. By then, Depp was the global megastar, carrying one of Disney's biggest franchises on his shoulders. Cruz stepped in as Angelica, a mysterious woman from Jack Sparrow's past. She wasn't a sidekick, she wasn't a background character. She was his equal, his rival, and his partner in mischief. Watching them on screen together was fun, chaotic, and full of sparks. Fans loved it, and after that people began asking, when would we see Depp and Cruz together again? For more than a decade, the answer was silence. Rumors floated around here and there. A journalist would drop a hint. Paparazzi would snap a photo of them at the same event. Fans would speculate, hoping for another collaboration. But nothing ever solidified. It almost felt like their time as a screen duo had passed, until now. It started with small signs. Paparazzi caught them leaving the same hotel in Spain. They weren't seen together, of course. Hollywood stars know how to avoid that, but the timing was too close to ignore. Then there were whispers about meetings, about script readings, about private dinners in Madrid. Social media lit up with theories. Was it a film? Was it personal? Was it just coincidence? Fans debated endlessly, and then came the announcement. Johnny Depp and Penelope Cruz are reuniting for a massive project. Not a cameo, not a tiny indie film hidden away in festivals, a big, bold, big-budget feature that insiders are already calling a game changer. The internet exploded. Twitter trended for hours. Reddit threads ran wild. Instagram fan pages posted collages of their past films together, celebrating the comeback pairing no one thought would actually happen. But here's the twist. This isn't just another Hollywood film. It's not a cash grab sequel, not a reheated franchise. This is something original. According to sources close to the production, the script is unlike anything either of them has tackled before. It's daring, dark, and layered. For Depp, it means stepping into a role that strips away the larger-than-life persona and takes him back to his roots, complex, flawed, deeply human characters. For Cruz, it's a role that demands both power and vulnerability, something that allows her to showcase the range that made her a star in the first place. Together, it's a mix Hollywood hasn't seen in years. Of course, fans reacted instantly. Some celebrated it as the comeback of the decade. Others were cautious. Could Depp really make it back after so much controversy? Would Hollywood embrace him again, or was this destined to be a risky gamble? And what about Cruz? Would she outshine him, or would this partnership remind people why they clicked so well in the first place? The debates raged. People picked sides. And in a way, that's exactly what makes this story so fascinating. Now, let's clear something up. A lot of rumors hit the internet the moment this story broke. Some claimed it was another Pirates of the Caribbean spin-off. Others swore it was a hidden sequel to Blow. None of that is true. This isn't a sequel. This isn't a franchise. This is an original story, helmed by a director known for taking risks, someone who doesn't play by Hollywood's safe rules. And that alone makes it exciting. Here's the part most people don't know. This reunion might not have happened. Without Cruz, according to people close to the project, she was the one who reached out. She reportedly told producers that Depp was perfect for the role, that he deserved another chance, and that no one else could bring the character to life. That's loyalty, in an industry where so many distance themselves the moment controversy strikes. Cruz stood by him. She didn't just offer kind words, she took action. She made it happen. Industry voices are already buzzing. One producer called it the ultimate redemption arc. Another said it's proof that real talent never disappears, it just waits for the right moment. And if you've been paying attention, you know this moment has been building for a while. Depp has been slowly re-emerging, first through music, touring with Hollywood vampires, then through Dior campaigns, reminding the world he's still a global icon. Then through smaller appearances, festival circuits, European projects. It was like watching a slow rebuild, brick by brick. And now, this film with Cruz feels like the big return. So what happens next? The plan is to start filming in Europe, possibly in Spain or France. Rumors suggest a late next year release with whispers about a premiere at Cannes. Just imagine it. Depp and Cruz side by side on the red carpet, flashbulbs going off, headlines being written in real time, social media exploding with every single photo. If the film delivers what the insiders are promising, award season talk is almost guaranteed. But beyond the film itself, this is bigger. It's not just about two actors signing on to another project, it's about rewriting entire narratives that have followed them for years. For Johnny Depp, this is about something far deeper than screen time. It's about showing the world that he's more than the headlines that tried to define him. For too long, the focus was not on his talent, not on the roles that made him iconic, but on the courtroom dramas, the accusations, the endless debates in the public square. Every article, every meme, every broadcast seemed to reduce him to controversy. But Johnny Depp was never just controversy. He's Edward Scissorhands, he's Captain Jack Sparrow, he's the eccentric genius who could disappear into characters in a way that made audiences forget they were even watching Johnny Depp. This project is his chance to remind everyone of that. It's his opportunity to step out of the shadows of scandal and back into the spotlight of artistry where he belongs. And then there's Penélope Cruz. Her story here is just as powerful, though very different. She's always been respected, always admired, always steady in her craft. She doesn't need this project to prove anything for herself. Her resume speaks volumes. She has Oscars, critical acclaim, box office success. But what makes her involvement? Special is loyalty and influence. In Hollywood, loyalty is rare. Careers are fragile, reputations even more so. When one actor faces trouble, many others step back, worried that supporting them might damage their own standing. Cruz didn't do that. She stood firm. By lending her credibility, her name, her power, she's helping to open a door that might otherwise have stayed shut for Depp. That's more than friendship. It's leadership. It's using her position to give someone she believes in a second chance. And in an industry that often pretends to care about redemption but rarely follows, through her move is both risky and admirable. Film deals soon followed. The industry, realizing the power of his name, began to offer him roles again. There was excitement in the air, talk of comebacks, of characters he might bring to life, of scripts that had been waiting for someone like him. For Johnny, it was a second chance, not just to work, but to remind the world why he mattered in the first place. For him, the verdict was more than words on paper. It was freedom to live again, to create without the chains of accusation, to step back into a spotlight that for a time had been unbearably harsh. Amber, on the other hand, found herself facing a very different reality. When the judgment was read, it wasn't only the legal loss that weighed heavy. It was the tidal wave of public opinion. The internet, already harsh toward her during the trial, now turned into an avalanche. Memes, commentary, criticism even. Cruelty poured in from every corner. For many, she was no longer just an actress. She became a symbol of mistrust, someone defined more by the case than by her work. And while Johnny's supporters celebrated, Amber's supporters dwindled, drowned out by the noise of the larger crowd. The criticism wasn't just online. It affected her career, too. Studios hesitated. Roles that might have once been hers slipped away. Public appearances became rare. She began to step away from the Hollywood spotlight, not because she had lost her ambition, but because she knew the world wasn't ready to see her as anything but the woman from that trial. So she moved. Abroad, she tried to rebuild in her own way. She chose quiet streets over flashing cameras, a low-key life over the pressure of red carpets. Away from Hollywood, she found a space where she could breathe, where she could exist. Without every glance being dissected, still, she didn't vanish completely. She appeared occasionally, sometimes for projects, sometimes for causes she believed in, but it was different now. Every move she made was measured, cautious, as if each step carried the weight of 1,000 judgments. While Johnny was embraced. With open arms, Amber carried the heavy burden of being defined by a trial she could never escape. For her, the verdict wasn't just the end of a case. It was the start of a new chapter, one that forced her to live in the shadows of what had come before. And so, while Johnny walked into a future that felt like a second chance, Amber faced one that demanded resilience of a different kind. Both of them changed, both of them scarred, and both of them forever marked by the battle that ended, but never truly left their lives. Their lives may never cross paths again, but their names are forever tied. Not just because of love, not just because of courtrooms, but because their story became one of the most unforgettable sagas of modern Hollywood. It was more than a divorce, it was more than a trial. It was a mirror reflecting fame, power, and the way personal stories become public property in the internet age. Think about it. A relationship that should have been private became one of the most public events of our time. Everyone became a juror, a commentator, a spectator. Strangers felt invested in lives that weren't theirs, cheering, booing, laughing, and crying at moments that, in reality, were devastating for the people involved. That's the cost of fame in today's world. Once your story escapes your hands, it belongs to the public. So what do we take away from all this? Maybe it's a reminder that beauty and brilliance can hide cracks. That even in Hollywood, where everything glitters, real lives are messy, painful, and complicated. Maybe it's a warning about the dangers of public opinion, or maybe it's simply a story of two people who loved, lost, and fought until nothing was left. And now it's your turn. What do you think about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's journey? Was it a tragic love story? Was it a cautionary tale about fame and relationships? Or was it just another reminder that behind every glamorous photo, there's a story we may never fully understand? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to know your take. If you've made it this far, don't stop here. Check out our other video where we break down Johnny Depp's comeback story. It's one you don't want to miss. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Hollywood's most dramatic story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next one. Because in Hollywood, there's always another chapter waiting to be told.